Good afternoon, everyone. Today is Wednesday, May 13th, and I'm back here with Relative Edge with another video. And a lot of stuff is going on this week. A lot of things moving. Silver's moving. SPY is all-time highs. Interest rates are moving up at highs. So we got a lot to unpack, a lot of stuff to talk about here. A lot of interesting relative charts. So if you guys liked this video, please throw a thumbs up. I would love that. It really would help out the channel and help me out. Feel free to comment anything that you guys don't understand. Definitely go in the comment section and put whatever questions you have, anything that's unclear. I'm happy to explain. And yeah, enjoy. So let's hop right into it. I just want to start with the 10-year yield. So right here, this is the daily chart of the 10-year yield. You can see we're trading in a downward parallel channel. So this is a bearish channel, meaning that the price action is momentum is towards the downside, but you can see that we were trading in this downward bearish channel. Within the downward bearish channel, let me zoom in here, we are in a pennant. So a pennant is consistent higher lower highs. So you get a high here, lower high, lower high, lower highs, and then we got a low here, higher lows, higher lows. So the lows and the highs are basically converging together. That's what a pennant is. We broke below the pennant, and within that pennant, we're also in a downward, another smaller downward bearish channel, downward channel. And then we broke out, and we were tagging that a bunch of times. And now look at this. We are coming up against the top of this bearish channel. So this is really big. If rates go any higher and break out here, the market is going to poop itself. It doesn't like when rates are high. So definitely something to watch here. Let's get into the dollar, the US dollar. And I have all these lines on my chart just to make sure I'm looking at the correct support and resistance levels. But yeah, you can see the dollar overnight kind of moved up pretty strongly, came into this resistance here that we actually got rejected on May 5th. And you can see this was a strong level here that we've in the past bounced off of. So this is a strong level, and it looks like we couldn't get above here. So whenever we are above this, whenever the dollar is moving up, that's going to put pressure on typically the markets and anything, and gold and silver specifically. So speaking of that, check this out. If you are a silver holder, which I am, look at that. Silver today hit $90, which is really nice if you are a silver holder. So I'm going to zoom in a little bit here, and I'm going to pull up actually one of the charts that has my support and resistance levels on it right here. And you can see right now, if you look at the RSI on the 4-hour chart, we're kind of forming a pennant. So lower highs, higher lows converging towards each other, like I mentioned earlier, that we saw on the 10-year yield. Let's move to the daily chart. Yeah, so we are a bit overbought in the short term. We had a crazy rally, so that's what, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 green days in a row. So silver had a strong green move up to the upside, and right now we're I'd say I wouldn't be surprised to see a little pullback to around the mid 80s, just to give back some of this run and set up for its next move higher. This is the daily chart right here. So each one of these bars is 1 day, and one thing I did notice is control bars are big movement bars. They can be green or red, but this one right here, this red bar right here on January 30th, if you just take this bar, and this is what I'll do, I'll drop down, I'll go to tools, and I'll go to straight lines, horizontal lines. I'm just going to draw a line right at the top of that bar and right at the bottom of that bar right there. That's going to be a significant resistance on the upside and support on the downside. So I would not be surprised to see silver come down in the next couple of days, maybe towards the end of the week, pull back, give a little bit back, before setting up its move higher. You can see, if you look at the exponential moving average, this blue line right here, we're a little bit extended, and typically you want to buy when we're on the averages if you're expecting to move higher. So let's just keep that in mind. For the SPY, let's get into the S&P 500. So the SPY, crazy move. Like, look at this. This is insane right here. Look at this move right here. Let me move back to this one so I can show you how big of a move this is, guys, because 17, almost 18% move from that bottom, almost straight up. Like, you gotta expect that we'll get some type of pullback at some point. I mean, on the S&P 500, we are pretty overbought. This is the fastest recovery we've had. But honestly, I'm not one to bet against the markets here. I'll wait for a pullback to get in, but what I really want to see is the relative charts. I want to see which asset is outperforming all of these assets. At the end of the day, to me, would rather hold 1, 2, maybe 3 assets that are outperforming everything else than be holding a bunch of assets. That's just me. Some people, they like being more diversified. That's fine, but for me, I would rather be in the higher performing assets. So let me check out oil, because oil is another higher performing asset, and oil right now is very interesting. I actually was more bearish on oil before in the short term, just the short term. I believe oil will go much higher. But the reason why was because we were trading in this bearish divergence. So bearish divergence is when you see price moving higher, but you see the strength moving lower, so the momentum moving lower. So you can see that here where we made a high here. Look, we made a high in the strength if you look down here. Then if you look at this next high over here, if you look down here at the strength index, we made a lower high. So this is lower than this high. And then look, we made another high here. This is actually a lower high than right here, right? So if you were to put a line here, that's a 6% lower high. And we got a lower high as well here. The difference is we are above the 50. And I'm gonna remove my face just real quick so you can see the RSI. But check out this RSI. Whenever you are above the 50, you are in an uptrend. So keep that in mind. When you're above the 50, you're in an uptrend. If we break below the 50, then you'll see and this goes for any asset, you'll see oil start to go downwards. So, but the thing is, we were trading, and you can check when you draw a line on that bearish divergence. So you just draw a line at the top of this peak right here to the next peak. That is basically resistance. So every time it goes up to it, it pulls back. You see, goes up to it, pulls back, goes up to it, pulls back. But the difference is we tried going below 50, but now look at this. We ran out of time here. We broke out. So that means there is potential for the room for oil to run further up. You want to keep in mind that there is this downward parallel that we're trading in. So the next upside target would be around 106, and that's if we hold above the 50. If we break below the 50, there's potential the first support is going to be at this 55 moving average there, and also where we bounced previously, which is at 83. So I previously thought we would actually come down to where we gap down here, which I still have a small bias towards that, but I don't know. Now that we failed to break below 50 on the RSI, I'm kind of neutral on oil, and I don't really want to make a call until we get some more data, because if you look at the RSI or the MACD, and the MACD stands for moving average convergence divergence. Moving average convergence divergence. So when you see a cross in the MACD, so these two lines, price is going to converge. And then when you see them flat, that means they're more likely to diverge. So right here, you can see the moving averages diverge. That means the price moves further away from its average. And then when they cross, that means price will converge, come closer to its moving averages. So just keep that in mind. That's what MACD stands for, moving average convergence divergence. So you can see that typically whenever we're getting the darker green bars that you want to typically sell, and when we're getting the darker red bars, you typically want to buy. And we are in that situation. So we are very neutral on oil. I can't make a call here. I don't know where it's going. Honestly, I don't know. When you look at the relative charts, though, we see a different thing. When you look at the relative charts, you see a different thing. So now that I'm saying that, let's hop into it. And guys, if you like this video so far, please throw up a thumbs up. That would mean so much. And please comment. Small channel just starting, and I would love for your support. So it would mean a lot. Anyway, Dow Jones versus gold. This is remember, this is the relative edge at the end of the day. So that means we are comparing assets to assets. It's cool and everything to see assets priced in dollars, but once you divide them by another asset, there's a whole different story. Then you take dollars out of it, you take price out of it, and you see which asset is performing better. Which asset do you want to be in? So Dow Jones Industrial Average versus gold. So Dow Jones is the general stock indices, was in a downtrend and still is actually in a downtrend right now versus gold. So that means Dow gold ratio is falling. That means Dow is underperforming gold. So if the ratio is falling, the numerator, which is the Dow Jones, is underperforming, and the denominator is outperforming. So keep that in mind, guys. And on the daily chart, and this is one thing I've learned actually recently, is that when we are above the 50 on the RSI, the relative strength index down here. So check this out. When we are above the 50, so this is the 50, right? Let's draw a line here so you guys can see it, and it's good for you guys to draw this. I would use RSI. I really like using RSI. When we are above the 50, right? We're in an uptrend. So you can see we're above the 50 here. Trend is up. Below the 50, now we crack below the 50. Trend is down. Now look, we crack, and once we hit the bottom, also you want to consider, hey, maybe there isn't much left in this move. So right here, we hit the bottom here, and we moved pretty strong up to the other side. But now look, we still are above the 50. The thing is that I noticed is that we were. Look at this. Check this out. Really interesting. So this if I drew a trend line at the bottom, at the support. So every time on the RSI, at least, every time we hit this, we bounced, but now we broke through it. So I wouldn't be surprised if we came up and retested this support line one more time, which means that Dow would outperform gold for a few more days before turning over, or potentially coming down and testing the 50. But until this gets above that trend line, I'm actually favoring. Well, I'm still favoring the Dow Jones. Actually, it's below, when we get below 50. That's when you want to 50 on the RSI specifically. That's when you want to favor the denominator. Gold silver ratio. I call this like a fortune teller, like a prophet this weekend. And like I said, if you look back to my previous video from Sunday, I said, hey, look, we are trading in this downtrend, right? Not only that, the RSI, the strength index, is in a downtrend, right? And we came up, we tested the top of this parallel channel, and we got rejected. Rejected means that we didn't go through it. So we got rejected down, and now look at this, we broke below this bearish parallel channel, and this is why we've seen silver move so much relative to gold. So look at this. Remember, so guys, above the 50, you want to be in the numerator. Below the 50, you want to be in the denominator. So on the daily chart, we are below the 50. So which asset do you want to be in? Silver. That's right. Silver had a massive move this week. If you were in silver, you did very well. So this is why it's good to follow my channel, because you may learn something new. And also, this is not financial advice. I'm just pointing out my observations and how I see things differently when I use the relative charts versus using, like I said, just regular charts. It just adds a different layer of perspective. So I hope you guys enjoy the way I see the markets, because I find it very interesting. And I actually just started using relative charts maybe like a year ago, after doing regular technical analysis for years. And once I added the relative charts, my trading and my predictions, my technical analysis has improved tremendously. So just keep that in mind, something you might want to consider. So I want to look at silver versus silver miners, because I'm kind of interested, and I thought that silver miners would break out sooner versus silver. So I'm a bit surprised about that. Look at this. You can see on the RSI, we're still above the 50. We're at 56.78. So that means right now it's still better to be holding silver versus silver miners. Silver miners are underperforming silver. And we're in this bearish downward parallel channel. Even though the price is moving sideways, right? Sorry, price is moving sideways. The momentum is still lower. But we broke out. We broke out of this channel. So that's not really good, right? Now, to be fair, we haven't really broke out much, and this could easily turn back down in a couple of days and come right back into this bearish parallel channel. But for now, it still is better to hold silver over silver miners. I personally believe that this ratio will break down eventually, and I think it will be relatively soon. I do think it will be relatively soon. So I do expect this to come back into this bearish parallel channel and come down to the bottom side of this parallel channel, the support side of the parallel channel. This is the support side, support, and this is the resistance side, resistance. So think of it, you jump up, you hit your head on the ceiling, that's resistance, and you jump down, you stomp on the floor, that is going to be support. So Bitcoin versus silver for you Bitcoin holders. I love looking at this chart because I actually used to hold a lot of Bitcoin, and I actually sold at the perfect time, and it was because of this chart. I looked at Bitcoin versus silver, and I saw that. Here, let me illustrate this to you on the weekly chart. Make more sense to you. But yeah, so I saw this. So Bitcoin's outperforming silver. It's in an uptrend, right? It looks like it's in an uptrend. But you see we made a higher high here, higher high. Look at this. Higher high, higher high, right? But look down at the RSI. Down at the RSI, and we made a lower high. That is a bearish divergence. That typically means that price will soon, that means there's going to be a change of direction. So that is, I actually didn't swap. I didn't see this at first, but once Bitcoin failed to break through 120, I was like, hey, I might need to get out. And I actually ended up getting out around 100,000. But had I seen this sooner, I would have got out sooner. But anyway, look at this. This is kind of crazy. If you look at Bitcoin versus silver, look, support here, bouncing, support, bouncing, support, bouncing, support, bouncing. But look at this. We broke here. So what do you want to be holding, Bitcoin or silver? I'll let you decide from this chart. For me, that's a breakout. This was holding support, now it's not, and that's a fact. It was bouncing before, and it's not bouncing. Not only that, it tested it, guys. It broke through, came back, retested, failed. So a break below here, a break below this wick right here, a break below here, that would be confirmation. I personally don't hold any more Bitcoin. I was holding it for a while, years actually, through the ups and downs, wondering why some things are popping and some things are not, why my one crypto isn't popping. And once I understood that I need to start looking at other charts, relative charts, then I gained a different perspective on things. So right now I'm holding silver almost exclusively, because if you look at my video from last week, I showed exactly why. Like, hey, I see silver outperforming all these assets. And you know what? I kind of want to pull that up as well and show you some of that, because look at this S&P 500. So look at this daily chart, right? Daily chart, S&P 500. So yeah, this is a bear flag. Bear flag is, so a flag, think about it, a flag is a post with a flag, right? So a bull flag would be post, flag, or move up, sideways consolidation. Bear flag's opposite, down move, sideways consolidation. So down move, sideways consolidation. Now look at this. This was clearly resistance. Resistance, sellers found here, sellers found here, sellers found here, sellers found here. Look at this line right here. Clear support. Buyers found here, buyers found here, buyers found here. Where are the buyers? They left. They're not here anymore. So now, what is this? It ain't support anymore. There are no buyers. It's now resistance. And look at that. When we went up the same line, it's now resistance. So two lines that are resistance, this horizontal line and this upward diagonal, are both now resistance, and we failed to break through them. If we would have broke up, I would have said, hey, right now buy SPY. But right now, it's clear that silver is the winner. Not only that, this is where it is key, and where you add an extra layer of understanding is when you look at the RSI, this relative strength index. And you can see throughout this whole move, I was actually like getting concerned. I'm like, hey, maybe it might be time to switch out of silver into SPY. But if you could see here, and I know that thought popped in my head, but I didn't actually do it. But we were in this upward parallel channel, right? Remember, parallel channel, where we find buyers, sellers, within a range, a set range. Now there is an imbalance. Now there is an imbalance, right? There's balance here. We're flowing in this range, But now there's an imbalance. Now there's more sellers than there are buyers because we broke through. The buyers are not there anymore. And not only that, if you look at the RSI, what are we at? We're at 36 on the RSI, guys. So whenever we are below 50, you want to be in the asset in the denominator. When you are above 50, you want to be in the asset in the numerator. So with that said, since January 6th, you want to be in SPY. And since we broke below, honestly, the first key was like, oh, okay, we broke below the support. Maybe we should start thinking about selling or transferring. And then the key here is, I mean, we broke out of this parallel channel and the RSI. Clearly, we're favoring silver now. So keep that in mind as well. This video is getting a little long. I want to cut it short. But before I do want to show you silver versus NVIDIA and silver versus Google. For you guys that say that tech is the place to be, I don't know about that. Because look at this. We have a breakout, guys, a clear breakout. So look at this. So not only did price move up drastically, this is silver Google chart. As this chart goes up, silver is outperforming Google. As it goes down, Google is outperforming silver. So we broke out here. So silver is massively outperforming Google. And look at this massive drop. Come back up. Sellers here, sellers here, sellers here. Where are the sellers? They're gone. There's more buyers now. Look at this. Sellers here, buyers here. So we're breaking out of, this is the same chart, right? The same chart as the SPY silver chart. Same chart, but inverse, right? Same with SPY and NVIDIA, or silver and NVIDIA. Same deal, guys. Look at that. That's a breakout. So people are here are buying NVIDIA, selling silver. Buying NVIDIA, selling silver. Oh, buying silver, selling NVIDIA. Look at that. There is a change in trend. We are above the 50 now. People want silver over tech. That's it. That's what I'm saying. Watch this ratio. Make sure it stays above 50. Then you want to be favoring silver. When you get a bearish divergence, consider, maybe it's time to switch over. So that's what I'm seeing. Let me know your thoughts. Let me know your comments. When I figured this out, it like clicked in my head, and literally the room seemed to get lighter because a light bulb went off in my head. So I would appreciate, honestly, you guys sharing your comments. If you disagree, agree, liking, commenting, sharing, subscribing. I want to continue doing these videos for you, and I find this so interesting to do. I don't know if you can tell, I'm so excited. But yeah, this was the Relative Edge. I appreciate it. You guys have a good rest of your day and enjoy the rest of your week.